So this video is about the bad shaded homes, the homes that are ineligible because they have shading on them. So I just wanted to go through some of these homes here so I can show you why these are bad. Now, when you look at a roof, now this roof is facing north and south. I want you guys to understand the shading of the roof. So this one's north and south. Obviously, it's facing upward, downward, and typically we want to put the solar panels on the south facing side of the roof. Now, if you can see this picture, obviously there's shade from the trees behind it, and they're casting a shadow over the roof. Now, with Google Maps, something to remember is that these pictures are taken at different times of day. So in another picture, this one may not have had shade over it, but it may have had trees behind it. So you have to, I guess, remember that the sun, um, excuse me, rises in the east and sets in the west. So a sun will come over like this, and throughout the day, if there are trees like on this side or this side, if it's coming up over here and going down over here, then if there's trees like right here, they're going to cast a shadow over the roof. The trees over here, they're going to cast a shadow over the roof. So that's why it's important that the I guess that the trees aren't too close to the house. If a tree can fall on a home, then a lot of times it's going to cast a shade over it. So that's something to remember. There needs to be about 80% sunlight on a roof to be able to do it, and so obviously that's for this first one. That's why it's bad. It's got on the south side of the roof where we would want to put solar panels. They're shading over it. Okay, on this roof it has a bunch of dormers. Now with obviously it has trees all around it, so obviously that's a bad house. If the sun's coming up, it's going to be casting a shadow. When it's going down, it's going to be casting a shadow, and the trees are really, really close to it. The other bad thing about this roof is that it has dormers. These dormers, we have to find a place to put solar panels, and if there's too many dormers on a roof, then it makes it a really hard thing to do. So trees all over this one, obviously that's obviously bad. You can see the shadows being casted on this one. Trees all around this one. This one not as bad. By the way, this one is an east-west facing roof. So in Massachusetts, that's a no-go. In New York, that's fine. But east and west facing roofs in Massachusetts doesn't work. But this tree on the edge, this tree when the sun is rising, it's going to cast a big shadow. That one's a little harder to tell, but there's still, quite a bit of trees around it. This one obviously bad. There's trees growing all over the roof. This one a little harder to tell. Again, this is an east and west roof, but you do have sometimes these trees in the fall don't have as many leaves on them, or in the winter, and then in some of those trees grow. So when Google Maps has this picture of them, it may not show. It may not show as much. So obviously this one's bad, shade all over it. This one's really bad, trees all over it. This one, a little harder to tell, but you do have these trees right here that are coming onto the roof. This one, yeah, can't even see the roof. So many trees. This one a little harder to tell. This one is a perfect east and west, so facing directly east and west. Now sometimes you need to ask the homeowners, is this tree still here? Because if when the sun is on this side over here, it's going to be casting a shadow all over here. But that's when it's important to ask, is this tree still here? Is it cut down or anything like that? Because if that's gone, it's definitely a good roof. This one a little hard to tell, but you do have, obviously you've got some trees here. Same with this one, big tree over here that's going to cast a shade onto it. That's kind of the main problem with this one, this tree right here. This one has a lot of dormers on it. It would be hard to find a spot to put solar panels on this roof. You also have the trees over here that you would probably need to ask, and trees here probably need to ask the height of them, make sure they're not casting shade onto the roof. Again, so these are just some of the trees that are bad. Those are the things to keep in mind as you are talking to people and setting appointments, and and I just kind of wanted to go through that so you understand that about the roofs and what you're looking at when you're looking for when you're looking at a home and determining whether it's a good or a bad roof for for solar. Obviously, if there's no trees around it and there's no shade, it's a good house.